Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Alain. I'm here with a Toto cup this morning. You know, Wizard of Oz being a movie that I grew up with as a kid. Many people grew up with as kids. Kids are still growing up with it. At least some of them are still seeing it. And I wanted to talk a little bit about kids today. Before I do that, remind you, get the newsletter, enjoylifesafely.com. A lot of good stuff to make your life better, keep you safe, help you defend yourself, inspire you to be exceptional and enjoy life. A lot of good stuff in that newsletter. Get it at enjoylifesafely.com. Now, talking about kids. Before 4th of July, I talked about how there would be injuries during the 4th. There are every year, even though so many of us try to keep people safe. If you look at the statistics, there were a number of injuries and deaths this 4th of July. One that I read about, really sad, young girl lost her hand and part of her arm with an explosive that her twin sister thought was a safe firework. You know, that this is just incompetence for people letting their kids get a hold of such an item. Apparently, it might have been the grandfathers, and they're not pressing any charges. But if you have explosives, you shouldn't be letting your kids play with them. Little girl was seriously injured. Again, amputated her hand and part of her arm. So forever disfigured for a carelessness because somebody left explosives out and let kids play with them, thinking they were fireworks. And that was one of the worst I read this year. It is our responsibility to keep ourselves safe. It's also even more of a responsibility to keep our kids safe and teach them how to keep themselves safe age appropriately as we raise them. And it astonishes me how so many people fail in this regard. We have kids dying, kids being hurt all the time, needlessly, with a little parental supervision and education. Again, teaching them age appropriately how to keep themselves safe. Say good morning to Jay, and Jay says, wow. Yep, pretty tragic about that little girl. One of the things I was looking at, automobile accidents are one of the leading causes for injuries and deaths among kids. And many of them could be prevented with proper use of child restraint and booster seats. Now, fortunately, over the last number of years and decades, the use of these seats has increased and not as many kids are being hurt and killed. Unfortunately, the increase in accidents has gone up because we have more people on the roads driving and it's faster and distracted and everything. I mean, when I was a kid, I did not use a child seat. Heck, we were in the back seat and we'd crawl out the back of the window of the truck and ride in the back of the pickup bed and back in the truck. And that was a different time back then. The roads weren't as congested. Right now, I'm not advocating we go back in time. I'm advocating that we use the safety equipment that is available properly and keep our kids safe. A lot of people will have the safety kits, the chairs, but they don't use them correctly. Make sure you're following the instructions. And if you don't know how, go ask somebody. I mean, I know here in Missoula, we have different kids safety days, and the fire department, EMTs, and different organizations are there, and they will show people the correct use of these safety seats and child restraint seats, and make sure that it's installed properly, and make sure that you're buckling it correctly, where the buckle is correct placement on the chest. You have it tight enough. A lot of people, they'll use these and they don't have the straps tight enough, maybe for fear that, oh, it's going to be too tight on the child. And then they get injured because it wasn't properly secured and doesn't keep them in place like it's supposed to. So they have to be installed properly. They have to be used correctly for the appropriate size and weight of each child. That alone right there will keep a lot of kids from being hurt and killed in car accidents. I mean, some of the statistics, it comes down to like 400 and some injured a day and maybe 3 killed a day is sort of the average in the United States right now. And they're preventable, many of them, if we use the safety equipment properly. And that's with a lot of other things too. Many things have gotten more safe because we've learned. And so they're creating things, but we have to use them properly. So if you are a parent, a grandparent, somebody that takes care of kids, invest in things that will keep them safe. Make sure they're in good working order. Make sure they're installed and used properly. And let's help keep kids safe and teach them to keep themselves safe as they're growing up so they can be responsible individuals that can go out and enjoy life safely on their own as well. That's just a little tip today about keeping kids safe. Such an important thing. We are doing better, but we could do even better still. So let's do that. Let's keep kids safe so they can enjoy life as well. Everybody, Friday, I'm going to have a special guest, Dan Anderson, longtime martial artist. Any of the martial artists on here, they know who Dan Anderson is. He will be my guest, but we're doing it at a later time on Friday afternoon to fit his schedule. He was not able to make it in the morning on Friday. Have more about that later in the week, but Friday, Dan Anderson in the afternoon. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. Everybody go out, make it a terrific Tuesday, and I will see you tomorrow.